You're listening to Trusting God at All Times, a daily devotion of Peakland United Methodist Church. My name is Kim Ness, and I'm the office manager here at Peakland. I happen to like the underdog. I'm a Washington football team fan. I like the underdog. Zacchaeus is one of my favorite underdog stories. The Christmas story is full of underdogs. One of them starts with "there's no room." That was the excuse the innkeeper gave for not allowing Mary to give birth in the inn. He had nowhere to put them. He offered them the manger. He provided a cave. He probably did more for them than any other innkeeper in Bethlehem that night. He probably took sympathy on Mary because she was pregnant. Now, looking back on this scripture in Luke from today's viewpoint, we hate the innkeeper. This dude has no name. He's mentioned once in Luke. He says one line in the whole Christmas story, yet we all hate him. Some of us probably like to think he felt horrible when he found out that the baby that was born in the backyard of his inn turned out to be the Messiah. We hope he was contrite and apologized to God for allowing his son to be born in such bare conditions. We might even wish that Joseph and Mary could go on Yelp and rate the inn 1 star and say, "The accommodations were severely lacking. I gave birth to the Messiah in a cave." But back then, the inn was full. It was census time. Everyone had to go back to the place of their birth to be registered. The innkeeper's hands were tied. It wasn't like Joseph could go online and simply make a reservation for a hotel to ensure that Mary was taken care of. He couldn't check her into a hospital so the baby would be given the best possible care. He couldn't predict when the baby would come, so everyone had to roll with it. That's why we struggle with liking the innkeeper. We're looking at it from our current standpoint. We are seeing him refusing to let the mother of the coming Messiah come into his inn. But it wasn't his fault. We all talk about how we love the holidays, but we also complain about things we do to make sure everything goes smoothly. The endless shopping for gifts and food, the amount of time we have to travel to visit relatives, wrapping presents, making sure no one is forgotten, baking cookies for Santa, moving that elf. Whenever we're asked to do something else during the holiday, we mentally figure out if we can fit it into our already crazy and hectic schedule. We might suck it up and say, okay, or we might realize that there isn't any room for another item on our schedule and say no. We don't have any room in our holiday lives. But we don't have the innkeeper's excuse. During this time of year, we're supposed to keep our eyes on the star and remember the reason for the season. We are usually too crammed with stuff to look for Jesus. We spend our holidays going to parties and baking and doing the holiday thing, but we're forgetting about what the holiday is about, forgetting the reason for the season. We are filling up our schedules and not making room for Jesus. It wasn't the innkeeper's fault that his inn was full. It wasn't his fault that Jesus was born in the manger. The innkeeper didn't demand a census be taken. None of these things were the innkeeper's fault because all of these things were out of his control. We can say we don't have time during the holidays because we're so busy getting ready that it isn't our fault we don't have time. But unlike the innkeeper, we are the ones that are scheduling ourselves and taking away the time to be with Jesus. No one else is making us busy up our holiday and forget the reason for Christmas, but us. We know that Jesus' birth is coming. We can prepare and wait for it to happen. We can be ready. We can make room. Because the last thing we should say at Christmas is there is no room at the end.